Hey everyone, my name's Haydonus. I'm a streamer over on the Twitch platform, and I'm here today to showcase some of my own battles in the Master League Classic Cup. I hope that you guys will be able to take away from some of my own skills and further grow yourselves as trainers. And without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the video as well as the battles, and yeah. So hopping into our first matchup here, we are going in with Dragonite, Melmetal, Mamoswine. Now the thought process behind putting Mamoswine in the back is I've seen a lot of things very weak to Mamoswine in the back in this current meta that we are in. So I feel like Mamoswine is a very good closer and will usually cover 2 mons, and well, it will usually hit 2 mons pretty hard on the same team. So in this current matchup, we want to be going straight superpower. We know that we're obviously going to lose switch, and since Rock Slide is resisted, might as well go for the superpower. So when they do choose to throw the Fire Punch or Earthquake, they will get the minimum amount of farm, even if they undercharge. Fire Punch coming in here, it does 1 shot. We actually bring in Dragonite. They choose to throw a move. We're going to take this move, and then we plan to just Dragon Breath all the way down. Our opponent does actually a very crazy swap here, giving us a lot more play by swapping into their own Melmetal, so that puts them at a switch lock right now, whereas they would have had perfect alignment if they did not swap out. So we come in with Mamoswine, we're just going to keep on farming up. We bait Avalanche because they usually would shield in this scenario. And then we no shield this one, calling the Rock Slide. They do go Rock Slide, and that's a very fun fact about Melmetals. They usually go Rock Slide on the first charge move against a Mamoswine to prevent debuffing themselves for the second superpower, or for the superpower that they are going to throw later. They do try to pull off a sack right there, no prevail. We do catch the Rock Slide just to avoid having to shield again, or we catch the superpower, okay, and they throw 2 times since they're obviously switch locked, so they can't really swap out or anything, make a move. So we're looking at a very solid position, assuming that what they have in the back is also weak to Mamoswine. Following the pursuit of the weakness from Groudon, they do pull out a Giratina, and we do secure the win. So we capitalized on the opponent's misplay of swapping in to the Melmetal instead of getting farmed down fully by the Dragonite. So going into the next match here, this lead is kind of difficult when it's Dragon Tail. We choose to double up on Dragon Claw here and then throw, and I assume that we're going to bank 1 Dragon Claw for this. Yep, we bank the Dragon Claw for the Groudon later. And in this Dialga versus Melmetal matchup, you usually want to try to farm up to 100 energy before you throw your first superpower. Obviously, it depends on the situation you're in. So let's see what they do here. They go for the no shield. Okay, so assuming that they're going to bring back in Groudon here, we want to farm up, and we are double up on the superpower, and we are going to throw both these back to back. The only difficult thing about this situation is now since we are double debuffed, they could have the option to farm us down at the expense of 1 shield, which I assume that we're going to pick up a shield right here because they do have some energy banked. Yep, and then we try to snipe, but our opponent does a very good play and predicts that we will swap into our D-Knight to get the Dragon Claw off. So they swap into their own Mewtwo to avoid having to commit that shield. We're looking at a very positive situation right here because we are up both shields and we have a full health Pokemon, whereas they are down both the shields and they're at a half health Pokemon. But this game is not quite over yet for our opponents. They do have energy banked on both the Mamoswine, or both the Mewtwo and the Groudon. So we're looking at a very tough position right here. We have to let go of one of these, right? So we have to call the Side Shark here. We try to swap out, but to no prevail. They threw the move. Now our only play, we try to swap out there again, but to no prevail 2 times, and they win the game. Our opponent did a very good play by waiting to throw the move. They waited just for a split second until I threw my fast move so that I was not able to swap out during the charge move. Now this matchup is completely IV dependent. If the opponent's, or since my Dragonite has 100% IV, I usually find that I will reach 2 Dragon Claws, and since they usually go for the farm down, then we usually pick up 1 shield and we come in at a shield advantage. But that matchup is very lag dependent, or if they sneak in any moves, then it's really bad. As you can see that it fainted out right there earlier. So we bring in this Mamoswine against the Togekiss, and they no shield it, so essentially just sacking it. And we also brought in the Mamoswine against the Dialga, just so we absorb the move with Melmetal, just so we can farm with Mamoswine a little bit later, so we do not have to use the shield on Mamoswine, shielding an Iron Head, since that is super effective damage output. They come in with Lugia, which makes sense to avoid us getting farm on their Dialga. We have 2 shields on this Melmetal in the back. We shield this move, and then I think we're gonna look to farm down this thing all the way and double Rock Slide the Lugia. Perfect, they do not get to another move on their Dialga. Now Lugia can actually tank 2 Rock Slides quite nicely, so this game is going to be closer than we thought. Go in Sky Attack. Okay. And we did just double up, so as long as we didn't CMP, oh, we did CMP, but will we live this Sky Attack? We do with just a little bit of health, and we are able to secure the win here. Coming back from a very, very bad situation in the front matchup with Dialga sneaking in a Dragon Breath, so we didn't make it to 2 Dragon Claws. Another bad lead, we always go into our softer counter here, Mamoswine, against the Togekiss. They hard swap a Kyogre. This is looking pretty grim for us. Kyogre obviously doing super effective damage, and they throw before we get to throw any of our moves, which is very, very rough. They did sink in a move too. If they did not sink in a move, we would have been able to double Avalanche that. So that was really, really bad that they did sneak in a move right there, since we were not able to double Avalanche. We come back with Dragonites. At this point, we can't really shield anything in this matchup. We have to put it all in on Melmetal in the back. Luckily, it doesn't look like they're carrying Blizzard, so they opt out for the Surfs. They do get to 1 more, which is unfortunate. We have to let it go. And then they actually swap out to their Togekiss, which is a little bit of a misplay, preserving the Kyogre on 1 health. So now we actually get to preserve our Dragonite, and I think we're going to look to farm down all the way here. And I do not think that they built up to a Flamethrower, so we choose to no shield. They actually Aerial Ace, and they are up 2 shields, but we do have all this energy in the back. They come in with a Dialga, so we go for Superpower straight away. And we saved a little bit of our Dragonites, so we can clear our debuff later if we need to. I bait this time. No apparent reason to bait here, since we can always clear our debuff later, but that's fine. We obviously have the shield here. We should have been in CMP, but they end up catching, even though I thought that we were locked into a CMP right there. So we're going to swap out immediately to clear our debuff, let this get a little bit of Dragon Breaths, and then we have to, okay, so we just doubled up. We're at like 2 HP, so if they sneak in any moves, then it's going to be very, very unfortunate, and fortunately we are able to double Superpower this thing. What looked like a very, very bad situation where they, where it was a false CMP tie, but we were able to overcome that and get to double Superpower. Coming into this next match, Excadrill. So Mamoswine is actually not that bad of a counter against Excadrill because we win all even shield scenarios. Just because we can tank 1 drill run from the Excadrill, whereas the Excadrill cannot really take an avalanche because our Powder Snow is doing way more damage to them than we are taking from their Mud Shots. And usually with Excadrill, I like to make the line call that there's a Lugia and Giratina in the back. And I feel like that's another important thing about Master League is it's a lot of line calling, so you can start prepping from like a bad lead or a good lead. It's very, very important to read teams and make good line calls. So let's see what they come in with. Giratina. So that holds true for Excadrill, Giratina. Let's see if they have a Lugia in the back. And this is just a very, very good team comp because Giratina and Lugia cover Excadrill's weaknesses very, very well. Except against Mamoswine, because there really hasn't been too many Mamoswines in the meta, which is why I say that Mamoswine seems like a very, very good Pokemon in the back because it threatens. It threatens all the double weakness to the back, and they actually did have a Dragonites and not a Lugia, so Excadrill, Flyer, and then Giratina, because Giratina, Excadrill is a very, very solid core. And this matchup, this is a very, very interesting matchup because they obviously have the super effective move Superpower. And here we no shield, predicting that they're going Rock Slide, which that is a correct call because most of the time they do go Rock Slide, especially if they swap into Melmetal, since they can't swap out. If they can't swap out, then they'll possibly throw Superpower and then go for a rock slide afterwards, or they'll possibly throw a superpower and then swap out. And they do let the bulldoze connect. So I'm going to throw this avalanche, and I think they're going to want to shield for switch advantage because they do not want to give up swap. They do. So we're going to try to farm this thing all the way down because this thing is, and we do sneak in a powder snow right there. So we know if we safely shield right here, even though they are doubled up, we would take it out. They do swap out Snorlax and transfer that that powder snow to avoid dying with the move, and they want to preserve the what's it called? They want to preserve the move on their Melmetal for a future matchup if they need it, even though they're 1 at health. I think we're gonna look to. I don't think we're gonna be able to farm this all the way down before they get to another body slam. But this energy is kind of useless anyway, just because they have Togekiss, right? And we're not even gonna make it to another Hurricane, and we undercharge that in hopes to get a little bit more Dragon Breaths. But in that scenario, it didn't really matter. We didn't get through the Dragon Claw, unfortunately, but that's completely okay. We don't need it. We come back and capitalize on the extra energy we banked on the Mamoswine, and we snipe it with Melmetal, and then their superpower is to no use. Here we have Dragonite into Extra Drill. We're going to go back into Mamoswine again. And here's the Lugia, so we can probably predict that they have a Giratina in the back. This is a pretty good matchup for us, but we will have to face the Extra Drill later on, which is very bad. And we want to throw before they get to another move. So we shield this one. They are going to get to 2. And we actually make a huge mistake here by letting this one go. I thought that I would have been able to live the Sky Attack, but essentially we just gave up swap, which puts the nail in our coffin because they're going to come back in with Excadrill. And then, as we see with this line call, they probably have Giratina in the back, which obviously I should have just double shielded. And just in case I did not end up living that Sky Attack, which I thought that I would, and which essentially just lost the whole game. So there's not much more to say about this game, except that switch alignment is very important in Master League Classic. You more than likely, or not more than likely, you definitely do want to try to keep everything aligned as much as possible. So if you have the opportunity to take switch advantage or anything, or if you can safely read your opponent's team, like we said earlier, that is very important to read your opponent's team. If you're safely able to do either one of those things and play the match accordingly, definitely do so. And I top left it there because it was basically over, right? So another Groudon lead. Dragon Tail again. As we said earlier, this matchup, we usually we try to build up to the Hurricane to pressure them to shield, and then we usually get to another Dragon Claw. But they could safely no-shield this one because they know that we're not a Hurricane, and then they obviously win this matchup. With very little health, we're going to try to come in and Powder Snow down on this Groudon. We're hoping that this one Powder Snow will take out this Groudon to avoid eating double Fire Punch, but it unfortunately does not. So we're going to have to no-shield one of these Fire Punches, which does around half. They let it go down. They come with Kyogre. This is looking pretty bad for us, obviously. Kyogre doing, again, super effective damage. So we're going to swap into our Melmetal right after this. And they do have a Dialga, so there is a little bit of hope here. We're going to go for Superpower straight away. So what we have to do in this matchup, or not this matchup, in this game, we do have to pull off a sack swap. So we have to predict when the opponent is going to throw on their Kyogre. So we shield here because we cannot afford to take this. And it will also, getting the sack will clear our debuff. So we're going to predict that they go up 2 more waterfalls, probably. 1, 2. But I accidentally transfer the, I transfer the waterfall over to Mamoswine, and that was just a huge misplay on my end. Definitely a winnable game if I did not do that in the middle of the turn. But even then, our opponent probably would have thrown it around in time, right? To try to have the best likelihood to win, instead of throwing at a predictable time, which makes it more likely for us to get the sack swap off. And then again, coming into Mamoswine, our better option here of coming into the mirror matchup with Melmetal. They do swap out to Giratina, which is it's a very interesting play. I think they were hoping to try to catch the Bulldoze because they, as we established earlier, most teams are double weak to Mamoswine in the back. So I assume that they try to catch the Bulldoze because they have something pretty weak to Mamoswine in the back. But we did just take switch advantage, which is obviously very good for us. So our Dragonite does not have to meet up with this Melmetal. We actually shield here. I'm not sure if this was the correct play. I think we wanted to get to a Bulldoze to get their shields down, and we CMP tie them here. And it's very, very important to go for the CMP ties so that our opponent did not have the option to overfarm. And since knowing that my Mamoswine would CMP over a Melmetal, then we can safely go for the CMP tie and take out the Melmetal, or pick up the other shield. We go Superpower here. We're not going to throw Superpower right away and think in speculation that they're going to catch. And then we have to keep on building up for their Melmetal in the back, which still needs to eat a Superpower. We're going to throw a Superpower here. And this obviously won't take because it's double debuffed. But we are assuming that our Dragonite could either Dragon Breath down or they let us get to another Superpower, which wins this game. So we have Dragonite into Groudon here. Let's see if this one Mudshot or Dragon Tail again. It is Dragon Tail. Dragon Tail, obviously, right now in the current meta, seeming like the better of the two options, just so it can cover its main flying type weakness way better and touch these dragons more efficiently. They do throw, which is a very, very good play by us. We're actually in... Okay, I thought we were in shield here. We did not. We should have shielded there to try to take swap advantage because we have to shield here anyway, right? So we can either take switch advantage or pick up a shield up theirs. And we leave with all that energy. We were trying to catch it at Iron Head, but to no avail. They come in. We come in and throw the Superpower. When we build up to it, obviously trying to throw it as late as we can to avoid, in hopes that they would throw the Draco Meteor before or Thunder that they do have. We throw Rock Slide here, just in case they do shield and try to farm down, but they do not, because we don't want to have a double debuffed Melmetal and them trying to farm us down. And then it's Kyogre in the back. So this energy was put to no use. If we would have stayed in and stayed in that matchup with Mamoswine versus the Dialga, we would have been okay, maybe. But this reiterates the fact that predicting team lines is very, very important. As if I predicted maybe if they had a Kyogre in the back, then I would have had a way better chance aligning my Melmetal with the Kyogre instead. And then we just, with Mamoswine leads, we mirror swap into our own Mamoswine to avoid going into our hardest counter of Melmetal. And usually they'll stay in the mirror matchup, but this matchup is very, very scary because it ultimately just comes down to CMP and whoever sneaks in a move, which usually in this matchup I will always go for sneak-ins because both of us cannot take an avalanche. They did sneak in a move, which we stuck in a move earlier, so we should be at the same. And we do get to a CMP tie right here, and we win CMP luckily. So we take switch advantage, and now we have the alignment that we want, and we almost get to that avalanche, but we did not quite get to that. They throw the move before we throw our Superpower, which is completely fine. And then they come in with Giratina, and then we actually made the mistake of building up too much energy there. I think we should swap to avoid them getting a huge energy advantage on us, because this could come back to bite us later. Because having energy advantage is very, very also another very scary thing in Master League. The opponent getting a good leverage on a matchup, because all these matchups are kind of close as it already is. And then luckily we win CMP, and we get to throw Rock Slide against this to avoid taking a move, and then all we need to do is just double up on Superpower. We throw one before, which is totally okay. And then we just need to get to one more, nice, and we win that game. But that could have easily been very, very scary if they if we let them get any more of an energy advantage, because then we wouldn't have been able to throw our Dragon Claw. Okay, Garchomp Blade, this looks pretty good for us, unless it is Dragon Tail. Then it's kind of neutral. Even then, Outrage is a higher costing move than Dragon Claw, so we easily outpace them. Their cheapest move is Sand Tomb, which is probably what they're running. And luckily our IVs did come in clutch there, and we were able to live at 1 HP, but they did catch the move on the Lugia to avoid having to shield. We let our Dragonite go down. We could have transferred the Dragon Tail over to another one of our Pokemon to keep the D-Knight alive, but we want to freely be able to swap out. I didn't really want to be switch locked, and I also didn't feel like I needed it as a sack. So we just let it go down. They Aerial Blast us. And we're trying to align our fast moves as good as possible to avoid them sneaking in any moves. We undercharge it just a little bit to try to get more Thunderbolts. They do swap out. I think we're in a no shield here. Calling the Sand Tomb, that's a really, really huge call. And then here, it's really, really risky. You could see me thinking, waiting down the clock. And I actually make the call of a Sand Tomb. So we get to save our 2 shields for whatever they have in the back. And they are not quite on a move on their Lugia yet. They do have a Ho-Oh. Oh man, this is like a huge core breaker for my back 2 Mons. Luckily we don't see it too often, but there is still some play around it. We do have a Rock Slide banked on our whatever it's called, the Melmetal. And then luckily our IVs come in clutch yet again in this matchup. We do get to a another Avalanche, which allows us to pick up the shield. And here, we went 1 Thundershock over, even though we already had the Rock Slide, just because, just in case they were going to try to catch the move on their own Lugia. And since Incinerate is a 5-turn move and our Thundershock is a 2-turn move, we can throw in between. So yeah, that concludes the matchups for today. I really, really appreciate you guys coming out today. It means a lot to me. Thank you guys for listening to my commentation over my own battles. If you like what I provided today, feel free to head over to my Twitch channel for some more content, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a thumbs up, comment down below what your favorite play of the day was, and hope to see you guys some other time.